Hey guys, welcome to Performance Anxiety. This episode we welcome Brad Lehner from the band Medicine. Medicine is one of the most influential bands of the 1990s. But Brad was a veteran musician before founding Medicine. He'd worked with luminaries like Savage Republic and the Captain and Tennille. We get great stories about his music, touring, his gear, and the new Medicine album of covers, Scarred for Life. Pick it up on Bandcamp or wherever you buy music. Follow Brad and Medicine on social media to keep up with news. Follow us at Performance ANX on Instagram and Twitter. Pick up our merchandise at performanceanx.threadless.com. Subscribe, rate, review, and laugh with me and Brad Lehner on Performance Anxiety.
Oh, sure. Okay. This is Brad Lehner from Medicine, and you're listening to the Performance... Oh, let me try that again. This is Brad Lehner from Medicine, and you're listening to the Performance Anxiety Podcast.
Well, I do, again, appreciate you coming on with me and spending a little time and talking about your career.
My career, yes. Funny word. I guess it is a career,
yeah. So you kind of, from what I understand, you actually started your career really young. I was talking with Jordan Zetarazzi from Blink of the Star. And
he knows all the embarrassing stuff.
Well, he only told me one or two little embarrassing bits, but I do wanted to add, and first of all, before we get into too much, I kind of feel like I should tell you that in doing the research for you, every time I try to type my your name into my phone to look you up and find anything about you, it changed your name from Brad Lehner to Brad Lancer.
Oh, yeah.
So
my evil doppelganger, Brett Lancer.
Yeah, if you ever get into adult films.
There's a politician in Brooklyn named Brad Lander.
Oh.
Also. And luckily he's got good politics. It's not like a Trumpite. But, and then one time my wife and I sold the first house that we bought. And the guy was like looking through the house. And he looked at me and went, "You're Brad Lehner from Medicine." And I went, "Holy shit, that's crazy." And then, what's his name? His name is Brad Werner.
Oh, wow.
So I sold a house to a Medicine fan named Brad Werner.
That's
very good.
Funny.
I mean, that has got to be the most unlikely thing I could.
That is, yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah, and we're friends to this day now. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Speaking of friends, our mutual friend Jordan told me gave me a little tidbit. He said that when you were 8, you played bass with Captain Daryl Dragon. Is that accurate?
Close. When I was 11, and this is on YouTube, mind you, I was in a band that was put together by my junior high school because ABC had put out a call. They wanted a band consisting of junior high school age kids. I get what they call middle school now. They called it junior high back in those days.
Right.
And they wanted a band of kids to play with the Captain and Tennille.
Wow.
And we passed the audition. It was 1979. I was 11 or 12.
Back in their heyday too.
Yeah, it was the 70s. It was genuinely the same. And we played a 1.5-minute long version of Hey Jude and a full-on version of Muskrat Love.
Wow.
On our bass guitar, Brad Lehner, and on the other guitar, Todd Robbins. Muskrat Love with Captain and Tennille and Special Delivery. Here they are.
Muskrat, candlelight, doing the town and doing it right in the evening. It's pretty pleasing. Muskrat Susie, Muskrat Sam, do the jitterbug at it. Muskrat land and
the keyboard player in our group got to go over and do like the most abstract atonal solo on Daryl Dragon's Arp Odyssey. Oh, and it's an amazing moment of television.
Is that the entire thing on YouTube?
Well, I left out the Hey Jude bit, but yes, it's we were called Special Delivery, which is I stand by that as a fantastic name.
I love that name.
Right?
That is awesome.
Special Delivery. So if you search Special Delivery Kids Have People Too on YouTube, you will find this, hideous cultural object.
So how early did you start playing music?
Oh, I've been since forever. I don't know. I mean,
as long as you can remember.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, both of my parents could strum a few chords on the guitar, so I probably picked that up from them. And, yeah, just forever, always messing with tape recorders and, anything I can get my hands on.
Was, so your Special Delivery was that your first band?
No, I mean, that was not even a real band. It was just some bullshit that we put together that the school put together. And I was the only 7th grader because they were all 9th grade kids, but they had to have me in the band because there was no other bass player with a bass in the school.
So really, you truly were special.
It was, and we delivered specialness. Yes.
So the first thing that I could find that was that you recorded and released was a band called Dead of Nature.
Right. That was started when I was 14.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Man.
I was already like a, jaded art snob by that age, living in Los Angeles with cool parents and great record stores and great radio and great, fully immersed in punk rock and industrial music and,
Now, you're a multi-instrumentalist. At the age of 14 to 15, were you playing more than one instrument at the time?
Oh, yeah. I mean, always.
Wow. Oh, wow.
I started on piano and guitar and got a bass. The bass that I played on, with the Captain and Tennille, I got that for probably my 11th birthday. And then it was back then. People didn't make guitars for kids and drum sets for kids. There was no School of Rock stuff back then where, hey, that's great. You made it through, whatever horrible, So it was really unusual for a kid to have an electric bass. I mean, really unusual. So, I mean, I don't know where I was going with that, but it was just, it was more unusual in the late 70s to have a kid musician, but I guess.
Were you the youngest one in the band?
In Special Delivery?
Oh, no, in Dead of Nature.
Well, Dead of Nature was just me and whoever was around.
Oh, okay. And
so, I was usually like the little kid, though. I mean, I was always playing with older people and, the older people with cars that could, drive us to the gigs and But, I mean, when I was 15, Dead of Nature played. We drove to San Francisco and opened for Nico.
Oh my gosh,
so
that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, and she freaked me out. She was really scary looking, but she was amazing. I mean, I sat at her feet and she sang All Tomorrow's Parties a cappella. And, I'll never forget it.
Gosh, that's incredible.
So, ambitious little shit. Like making connections and getting gigs and stuff,
Well, I was trying to find some of the early stuff, and I had no idea about Special Delivery. Otherwise, I would have brought that up. But I was listening to Steaming Coils.
Right.
And I heard the track Loosen Lovesick the Shamrock.
That's an odd one to pick. There's a story behind that title.
Oh, I got to hear that because the song itself is really weird. It's kind of
it's like exotica kind of a thing. It was like our Martin Denny.
To me, it sounded like a merry-go-round dying in the middle of the jungle.
All right.
Because you got all these animal sounds going, like monkeys and carnival music going. It's crazy shit.
That was the great Tom Rashawn from the LA Free Music Society, who had one of the first sampling keyboards I'd ever seen, and he had all those animal sounds. But the title "Loose and Lovesick" the Shamrock was something that I found in a airplane magazine, and that was actually the name of like a Korean pop tune, like a really weird translation of a Korean pop hit. And I just, I wrote that down and saved it for just that occasion.
Some really weird English.
Yes.
Which is one of my favorite sites of all time.
Yeah, I love any kind of mangling of any language. So, yeah, good choice there.
I appreciate that. And let's see, you went from that to the Savage Republic,
right?
And so, are these bands just progressing, or are you just deciding that they're not doing what you want to do? Because even at that point, the music sounds really experimental.
Right. Well, I mean, Savage Republic was like an already established band that put out their first record in 1982, and I was a huge fan of them. I didn't join them until their drummer left, and I replaced him in 1988. And they were going to go to tour Europe, and I was like, right on, I'm a fan anyway. And I joined, and it was like, being in the Army, We did this brutal 2 months of one night stands from London to Athens, Greece, and everywhere in between. And I'm still like suffering from PTSD from it.
To this day.
That was when I was 21. I mean,
wow. Oh man, that's got to be amazing. I mean, 21, playing music for a living, touring Europe.
Right.
At 21, I didn't know what I was doing still.
Yeah. It made me realize that I really hate the road and really hate touring. I was like, so this is what it really is. You know what I mean? It was a big taste, And so unfortunately, by the time Medicine started a few years later, I was already like hated touring, and so those days were numbered in the first place. So
how did you get together with the original core group of Medicine?
Well, it started just with myself and Annette Zelinskas, who was a founding member of the Bangles. She's on the first EP, and now she's playing with them again now. And we've just made this record together finally. But her and I used to work at a record store together.
Oh, really?
There used to be a chain out here called Licorice Pizza. And her and I worked in, and I knew who she was. She's pretty famous locally, and I was stoked to find that she worked there, and we just got along great. Her and I, we figured out that we have the same birthday, and
cool.
So we totally bonded, and we were friends ever since. And that was a few years before Medicine. That was back when right after she had quit the Bangles and started the band Blood on the Saddle.
Okay,
which was like famous what they call cowpunk band,
right?
Because she's got this, she can sing like Patsy Cline, Wanda Jackson. She can do that kind of stuff beautifully.
Oh, I love Patsy Cline.
Yeah. Well, and so, that was perfect for her. She's done a lot of that kind of stuff, but she also loves arty psychedelic weirdness too. So
it's a good mix for you.
So that, really, it just started as Medicine started as a recording project with us, her and I. Okay. And she played the recordings we were making for various people, and all of a sudden I was having a deal offered to me.
Wow.
Because it was early 90s when they were signing everybody, and the weirder the better.
Yeah. Yeah, those are such great days.
So that's when it became an actual band,
Okay.
Like you can have a record deal if you put a band together. And just at that moment, Annette, because everybody was getting signed, her other band, the Ringling Sisters, got signed to A&M. And she had to quit, and then that's when Beth Thompson... Actually, it was a period of time when it was her and Beth Thompson were both female singers in the band. And everybody else I brought in that were just friends of mine,
Okay.
I said, hey, do you want to be on a major label? Sure,
yeah. Why not? I got nothing going on this weekend.
Back when that meant something, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, man. And I heard... I'll tell you something. I was doing the research. I found a video of... early version of Medicine. I think it was 92. in a rehearsal space.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that is so amazing.
Oh, thanks.
I love that video because you still have the incredible noise and sound, but it's somewhat stripped down.
It's what we sounded like live. I mean, it's what we were able to, as good as we were rehearsing to go to England for the first time and get our asses kicked there by the press.
Oh, geez.
So that's a kind of a poignant tape because we were all, excited to go. And then they tore us apart when we went over because it was like,
really?
How dare these Americans come over here playing this kind of music? It was pretty funny. So, well, in retrospect, it's funny. It was horrifying at the time, but,
right.
And I love that video because you could see that the hair metal band's gigantic drum cage thing in that that we were constantly clowning on. But I mean that. I mean, we were just basically a little rock band, with noisy guitar sounds. Really, I mean. And
you were the first U.S. band signed to Creation Records.
I think so. Yeah.
That's amazing because I mean
that's what I'm told. I think there was another band called Velvet Crush that may or may I don't know if they came before or after us, but so yeah, I don't know.
It's just I mean to get signed by Creation, whether you're the first or maybe the second, still I mean they put out an amazing stuff like My Bloody Valentine,
right?
The foundation of the shoegaze, which is
right.
So to be recognized by Alan McGee is just incredible.
Yeah, I mean it was a trip. I mean, the narrative that most people seem to think is that we signed to Creation and then with Rick Rubin and American Recordings, but it was actually the other way around.
Oh, really?
Yeah, strangely enough. Yeah, we had our American major label deal, and then Creation came calling because it was it was clever marketing back then because everybody wanted to be indie and underground, and college radio ruled everything at that time.
Yeah.
So the idea was that they, we had to have a cool label put out our EP first, and then they actually managed to we actually got on the coolest label you could possibly think of for that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. So it's just one of those incredibly surreal things that, my career is filled with surreal things like that.
Well, I love the fact that it was Creation because it's since they signed My Bloody Valentine, and then to me, My Bloody Valentine kind of fumbled the ball by not putting out any.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I mean they didn't put anything out for 20 something years, and
right.
So right after Gloveless came out, 91.
Yeah.
And you guys started putting stuff out in 92?
Correct.
So to me, it's kind of like you guys just picked that ball up and were the next
right
where My Bloody Valentine could have gone.
Right. I mean, I suppose so. I mean, at them and all that whole milieu were definitely influential, on us for sure. I mean, we caught all kinds of shit for sounding like them, but yeah, I mean, I think that was how it was perceived at the time, and maybe why Alan McGee signed us to Creation in Europe is because he had just lost them.
Yeah, Kevin Shields went down the rabbit hole.
Right. But I mean, as far as going to London and go to the Creation offices and raid their closets for promos and stuff, I mean, that was fantastic.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing.
Oh yeah, I walked out of there with massive amounts of vinyl. Got all the Telescopes records, all the Boo Radley's records, all the Primal Scream records, etc. I mean, that was very heady. That when we first went over there, in '92 to meet with them, and they put out the Aruka 12-inch, and it did really well. It was like #2 indie chart thing in the UK, but then we went over there and they just,
they didn't
spanked us.
No, when you guys were recording that, did you? I don't even know how to phrase this. Did you? Obviously, there's lots of effects and lots of interest, weird different dynamics. What kind of stuff were you using at the time, and are you still using similar stuff?
Yeah, I mean, my guitar. I have a dedicated Medicine guitar setup that has actually become simplified over the years. But I mean, this is what's it's gonna be on my tombstone. He played the guitar through a 4-track. I mean, that's what I did. I played the guitar through a 4-track cassette player to get this crazy distortion. Which is something I discovered by accident doing home recordings. I wanted a distorted guitar sound. I didn't have a distortion pedal handy, so I just cranked all the volumes up on the thing, and it sounded great.
Oh, wow.
But that's not, I didn't invent that. I mean, that's what the Beatles did on Revolution. That's what the Stones did on Street Fighting Man. I mean, it's what Lindsey Buckingham did on parts of Tusk. I mean, it's just the classic thing. You turn it up and it gets toasty and it sounds good. So, I mean, in my case, I augmented with a couple of wah-wah pedals and some reverb and shit, but it's really not a lot of effects. I mean, it's really just,
Oh, wow.
And most of that first album is basic tracks are live, and we overdub vocals and a couple of guitars, and that's it. Really quick,
The vocals on that, since talking about that, is it hard to do your live show? Is it hard to recreate the music live? And because it sounds really noisy.
I mean, live we just go for it and rely on the songs, really. I mean, I'd do anything to not play live rock music anymore. It's not, I like to record. I like to make records. That's my bliss. But at the time we sounded like that videotape that you saw. It was just playing the songs, and I could reproduce those crazy parts. I had a couple of extended guitar techniques. I grew up like worshiping like Fred Frith and improvisers like that, Derek Bailey.
Okay.
And Robert Fripp as well, I mean, so I was just, also like Jimmy Page and like, growing up watching The Song Remains the Same and seeing all the wild, noisy stuff he would do.
Oh, yeah.
So I just think of it as part of that tradition, really. I don't know.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Robert Fripp, because I was going to actually say that your career is almost like an American parallel to his, because you do a lot of this. you do a lot of the same. It's not the same trajectory, but you guys venture into different areas, like the ambient stuff and noise stuff, and you still have like King Crimson went through the phase with the double trio and lots of noise.
Yeah,
and I see a lot of parallels between what you do and what he does.
Oh, that's awesome. I take that as a huge compliment. I mean, he's one of my huge heroes.
Mine too.
I mean, and I still say I want to be Eno when I grow up. So, I mean, I've never just I'm an explorer. I'm not ever content to just do one thing. I've never just wanted to rock. I also want to find sounds and so yeah, probably that's why I laugh when you say career, because I'm like the professional career suicide expert. I mean, I've done everything. I don't make it easy.
No, but you do have so many different sounds and styles that you've done. Everything from folksy stuff, to industrial, to even popular songs like "Time Baby 3," which was one of my. I love that song. That's such a great track. In fact, that's the first song by Medicine that I had ever heard.
That's the case with most people, yeah.
Yeah, because it's on the Crow soundtrack.
Right. That's on a triple platinum album. That's like see, Dad, I can make a living from music kind of thing.
Well, that's what sent me down the rabbit hole, because I went and got the Sounds of Medicine EP and then just expanded from there. So
nice. I mean, Time Baby is to me, it just sounds like it's a Beatle-esque tune. I don't know. I mean, parts of it are straight out of a certain Beatles song. I mean, that's being reissued this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
and you got
it's just dumb luck that we ended up in that movie, and that
Yeah, how did that happen? How did the song end up on the soundtrack? Were you guys approached, or did the?
Yeah, we ended up in the soundtrack because we were in the movie. I mean,
that's how it happened. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I remember them, just our management saying, that these people were interested in us being in the film, and I didn't realize until later, and watching the commentary on the movie, that they actually wanted Curve instead. and Curve said no, and so
wow.
But what's another shoegaze band with a cute female singer? So thanks, Curve, you blew it.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
Now I've heard Time Baby 3 and Time Baby 2.
Yeah.
It's funny because to me Time Baby 2 sounds like where Medicine would have taken it after Time Baby 3.
No, that's what came first, actually.
It's crazy.
And it was just a B-side. It was a song for the 5 single on Creation, and it was just, I mean,
that's one of my favorite songs. I love that song.
Yeah, thanks. Another very Beatle-y thing.
And that's on that Rehearsals video, right. Which that version is amazing.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, I'm quite fond of that one too. I mean, but we just, I mean, they were asking us, if we'd be in the film, and then like, what songs do you have? And we had just recorded that as a B-side, and they were like, perfect. And that,
wow.
So it was just lucky,
I haven't noticed, but is there a Time Baby 1?
Yeah, it was my original demo, and that's where the chorus came from, that they don't have to take you away.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's just a very weird little pastiche kind of collage-y type of song. It's on, that's also on YouTube if you search it, and I put an edit of it on the reissue of Shot for a Self-Living CD that came out in 2012. So yeah, I mean, it can be heard. It's basically where the chorus came from. Then the rest of the song got worked out with the rest of the band. So yeah.
After 3 albums, the band stopped making music, and was it 3? Because after Her Highness, right? That was the third album.
Yeah, that was the third album by the original iteration. Yeah.
So you guys went on, I guess, kind of an extended hiatus, and then.
Oh yeah, no, we just broke up.
Okay.
Acrimoniously, tears, fist fights, everything.
Oh man.
It was yeah. So yeah, no, it was a full on bust up.
Oh wow. Oh, what? So what was going on? Was it just differences in musical styles? Was it touring?
Yeah,
things?
just
everything.
Spend 3 solid years in a shitty van with people, and I don't care how much you like them. You're gonna end up at each other's throats probably.
It's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, our touring was brutal. We probably would have lasted longer if we hadn't toured so much. But
wow, you don't hear that very often. You hear a lot more of, we would have been more successful if we toured more.
Yeah, no, I don't know if we would have. I mean, I think to me it's always been about the records. Yeah. I mean, and we did do a good. We're occasionally like amazing live, and most of the time okay, but I know, my own worst critic.
But,
but Yeah, no, the relentless touring in a very rough style was just, I mean, it wore me out completely, and we were getting this whole passive aggressive thing from the label of be arty and creative, but also give us something to be on the radio. So, and I was so ass backwards from that thinking by the time we made Her Highness that to this day I can't really listen to that album.
Oh, really?
Because it just reminds me of a really bad time.
Oh God, that sucks.
I feel like I lost the plot.
Oh man. So and you didn't want to be touring anyway, so
right.
So I guess so that does tours don't start off well when you don't actually want to be doing it in the first place.
No, and that last tour we did was like almost a year after our we had made the album. It was a total nightmare to make it. I had this brilliant idea of hiring Eddie Offord to co-produce with us.
Okay.
I don't know if you know. Do you know what that name?
No.
Eddie Offord. He produced the Yes records, the classic Yes.
Oh,
records,
really?
and also the classic Emerson, Lake and Palmer records.
Wow.
And I love Yes. I worship Yes. Still to this day, I love Yes. So
yeah,
I was like, Eddie Offord, my God, like his picture is even on the back of Close to the Edge. I mean, he was like a band member. Yeah, it didn't work out too well. It was a big mistake. And so it was, I mean, now there was that, the label kind of giving us this passive aggressive mixed message thing. And, for the first two Medicine albums, I cared not at all. And they're super creative and I love them,
Yeah.
and there was no pretense of trying to get on the radio. We were just being us. By the time, I mean, Her Highness just seems like, compromised.
Okay.
I mean, I know a lot of people love it. People ask me like, why don't you put it on vinyl? And, Jim Goodall, the drummer, and I, we always joke that like, we'll put it out, but it's going to be like a reduced version instead of an expanded version. like only the parts of the song, not even individual songs, but only like the parts of the songs that we like, and make a little 7-inch single. So
each song is going to be reduced to like 45 seconds.
Yeah, if that. Yeah.
So you go from the band disintegrating to becoming part of an album that took me forever to find when it came out, which was Lusk.
Oh yeah.
How did Lusk come about? I know that was that more of a Paul D'Amour project that you got involved in, or was it collaborative?
Yeah, pretty well. It was. Once we were making the music, it was extremely collaborative. I mean, but it definitely happened because Paul had quit Tool and had an open invitation to make a record.
Wow.
Oh,
that's awesome.
And so I had become friendly with him. I don't know. I think I met him. Okay. So the house that we recorded Her Highness in with Eddie Offord was then we moved out and Failure moved in to make Fantastic Planet.
Oh, okay.
Because Justin Meldal Johnson was playing in Medicine at the time, and he was friends with Ken from Failure. So,
okay.
And so, Justin's, like, he was like a producer even before he was a producer. He was putting people together that needed things, and he knew the Failure needed a place to record, and he knew that we were moving out, so he brought them in there. And then there was like parties, a lot of parties like that sort of were transitional Medicine / Failure parties. And so I met Paul and Chris there.
Okay.
And
Chris Pittman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just from that social scene, and I, Paul invited me to he knew that I had just broken up the Medicine and was looking for something to do, and offered me a job, basically.
Oh, man.
Kind of. I was thrilled to have a record to work on. And
so how were the sessions for that? Were they? I mean, because the band the album is great. I love that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm super fond of it too. I mean, I love that record, and they had rented a rehearsal studio at a place called The Alley in North Hollywood, which I think is closing down, but it was like this amazing hippie crash pad, like it just reeked of the 70s. I mean, it was run by these biker people, and it was just a hysterically funny place. And I mean, you know, Paul had some big dumb Tool money behind him, so we had this really luxurious hangout with tons of gear. We were buying gear and all this, and I mean, I was going through the tapes recently. I mean, we spent like a month before we did anything resembling a song. We just jammed. Wow. We just got together and jammed for like a solid month. And someday I'm going to edit an album together of that stuff, because like none of that made it to the album. And eventually I mean, and there's some cool jams on there and some really silly drunken stuff too. I mean, but we, you know, and eventually we just got tired of jamming, and each person started bringing songs in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was probably the first to bring in a song, like, okay, enough, you know, let's work on the song. And I brought in that song, the second song on the album. I called it Doubt. They called it Savvy Kangaroo. Because that was the joke that's what Lusk doesn't mean anything. Okay. There was like a poster in that studio for a politician. It was just a random piece of art. It just said Lusk, and it was like this dude's face. And so I was like, there's our band name. Like I named it. I said, oh, you know, there's the name. Okay, it's Lusk. And then Greg decided that it had to stand for something. So Lusk, according to Greg Edwards, it stood for Linear Undulating Savvy Kangaroos.
Okay.
Naturally.
Yeah.
So... they decided that song had to be called Savvy Kangaroos because it was bouncy.
Okay. I guess I could see that.
So terrified, you wore my down, you blacked my head out, you stopped up the gaps, cleared the holes.
Right, and you know, yeah.
Should told Greg, pick your own song to call Savvy Kangaroos.
Right, exactly.
Man.
Well, that was the nature of the thing, you know.
And
after that initial period, I mean, I kind of came and went. I mean, I sort of realized that Chris and Paul were going to run with what we had, and I was better. I signed with Island during that time and did the Amnesia stuff, and also started working with Jordan around that time too.
Yes. And he mentioned this, and I confirmed it with you last week, but you guys wrote a ton of stuff, and between what you guys mentioned and now hearing that you've got a month's worth of recordings of Lusk, you're killing me with music that I'm dying to hear.
The stuff I have of Lusk doesn't sound like the Lusk album, really.
Oh, man.
It's like jamming and weirdness, and you know.
Oh, see, that's what I love. I mean, that's.
Oh well, it'll happen eventually. I intend to edit it into something. You know.
That would be amazing. So you started working with Jordan Zetterowski from Blinker the Star.
Yes.
And you guys wrote a bunch of material. Some of it ended up on some of his albums.
Right.
And I guess the rest of it is just kind of languishing on a hard drive or something.
Yeah, I mean, he used to make CD compilations for his publisher, and I remember there was 3 CDRs filled with Lehner Zadorozny songs.
God,
that included the songs that ended up on August Everywhere, you know, like demo versions of Crazy Eyes and Your Big Night Sandy and
I'm a Fraction.
I think those are the only 3 that made it onto that album.
And then you guys had another one that ended up kind of at what he called to me, because he sent me some other stuff that didn't make it anywhere. And one of them is Brown and Furry.
Yeah, that was a song of mine that he helped me with.
Oh, okay. Because it shows up.
But he did a cover of it, and he ended up doing his own version of it too.
Oh, maybe that's the one I got because it's around the We Draw Lines era.
I think, but that was like him covering. That's not even the original demo.
So it's like him covering you and him.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah. No, he was like such great fun to write with. I mean, just a fabulous person anyway. So,
and he's just a hilarious dude to talk to. Now, let's see. Where am I going with this? I got to look at my notes at this point because I kind of went off track.
Sure,
but that's okay because that's what I love about this show. Is it's just a casual conversation.
Right. I don't sense any anxiety at all.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I've had people complain about that. They say your podcasting is so misleading. I said, well, it started off talking about that, and then it just kind of morphed into just a casual conversation. So
you call it performance relaxation.
Oh, that's pretty good. I'd have to redo my logo, but
yeah, well, that's fine.
I got that's a cool story. I'll tell you. Since we're having a conversation, one of the first guys I had on the show was Mark Dancy from the band Big Chief.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved Big Chief, and after they kind of broke apart, he did all the artwork for the band. He just kind of started doing artwork as a living. So I wanted to find out about that band, and Mac Avenue Skull Game is one of my favorite albums of the 90s. And so I wanted to find out about that. So I invited him to come on, and he agreed, to my incredible surprise, and came on. We talked, we had a great chat. And afterwards I said, hey, what would you charge me to do my logo? So he gave me some insanely low price.
Nice.
And so he's the guy that did my logo.
Oh, lovely.
So I am...
Well, you're stuck with it then.
Yeah, exactly. Unless I get him to redo the lettering on the logo. I can't really do much with it.
That's fine.
But I mean, maybe he'll charge me another insanely low price to do that too.
Yeah. Why not?
I heard you dude, that's a great word. You dude.
Yes, dude. That's a noun, a verb. That's like every word in Southern California. That's like an entire sentence.
You know what? Yeah, all you have to do is change the inflection a little bit, and you can have a whole conversation. Dude. But you did a cover of a Chicago song.
Yes.
And I don't know too many bands that do Chicago covers. I mean, the only thing that
we just put out a Bob Welch cover. I only cover the coolest stuff. I only play with the coolest people. The Captain Tennille, Bob Welch, Chicago. Only the coolest.
Oh my gosh, the Chicago. Nobody does Chicago covers. The only thing I can think of is you and Motley Crue.
Which one did they do?
They did 25 or 6 to 4.
Nice. I mean, look, first of all, I love the song that I cover. Feeling stronger every day.
Yes.
I mean, it's like a childhood favorite. I mean, but to me, it's really dark and passive aggressive and weird,
Yeah.
I've always been haunted by that line. The best thing that happened to you is the worst thing that happened to me. And just I don't know. And I sort of, I don't know. There's just something dark and weird about it. And I just,
Was that a Terry Kath era Chicago?
Yeah, it was a few years before he died.
Wow. Okay.
But it's a Peter Cetera song. Like I said, only the coolest for me.
Peter Cetera. I don't know. He's still alive, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What a great singer. Who else sounds like that?
Well, exactly. Nobody. Whether you like him or hate him, nobody sounds like him. Right. I should see if he can come on.
I wish you luck.
So do you do a lot of obscure songs? And you're putting out an album in the next few weeks, Scarred for Life, as a Medicine release. And it's a bunch of covers. How did Medicine get back together, and how did you pick the songs for the album? Well,
I mean, we reunited in 2013, actually 2012, and put out a reunion album of all new stuff in 2013 to the Happy Few, and then another one the following year, Home Everywhere.
Yes.
And played some shows, and then kind of went dormant again. It just stopped being fun again. And I only do it if it's fun. So, I took a break, and meantime, this small label called Drawing Room Records has been asking me to do an album of covers for a while, probably as a solo album. And I finally I was so freaked out and in dismay over politics, turning 50 and all that I was like, it's like, what do you do? I don't know. So it was like this comfort project almost, like,
oh, okay. That's cool.
And it just turned into like a medicine thing because like I reunited with Annette, who I hadn't spoken to in quite a while. And she wanted to do a project. And so it was like, oh yeah, this awesome person that I actually started this band with ages ago. I wanted to give her moment in the sun as well,
Yeah.
She always was sad that she never got to record with us. So, it was like this really weird personal sort of therapeutic exercise to just do songs with there's no like thematic unity. It's just songs we like.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains some things because there's a song on there that was written by Judy Sill.
Oh yeah.
And I'm a recent within the past like 2 or 3 years, I've just discovered her, and
good thing.
Her song "The Donor" is amazing to me.
Yeah,
I love that song.
She's a deity to me. I can't even speak logically about it. I'm so moved by her. In
her story
in every way that So it was really important to me to do a song by her. It's by far not her best song. I think it may be even like the first song she wrote. It's really funny. It's a song about going to jail for pot. I mean,
oh yes.
I'm doing all this dead time for partaking of a plant.
Yeah.
Is the first line of the song. I mean, it just means a lot to me to do something by Judy Sill. I don't know.
Oh, well, her story is amazing.
Yeah, it's really dark and messed up. Yeah, it's very sad. I mean, but. Yeah, I think that a lot of the people that knew her, like, there's resistance to tell her story because it's so messed up.
Yeah,
and that she was apparently, not the nicest person in the world. So,
yeah. Well, with the history she had, and I encourage listeners to look her up because it's really amazing music and a wild story.
The 2 albums that she put out in her lifetime are. There's nothing like them in the world. I
agree.
I can't speak highly enough of her music. I mean, just it's so significant to me. So I mean, to me, I'd even say this whole Medicine covers album is worth it to me, just so I could have the excuse to do a Judy Sill song.
Now, did you guys collaboratively pick the songs, or did you come in with some? And
it was mostly me, but there was a couple of ideas. It was Annette's idea to do the codeine song that we do on there at the end. Okay. Oh. And Matt Devine, who does great guitar playing on that, and he was in the touring. He was on the Her Highness Trail of Tears tour, and he's like one of my best friends. And he probably recommended a couple of them. I can't remember. He's going to get mad at me if I remember. I don't know.
We can go back to it. We bounce around a lot on this show, so that's
okay.
Totally fine. Now, Sentimental Lady, I just heard that today, and
nice.
Man, that is awesome.
Thanks.
It's one of those songs that I heard a lot growing up. My parents would play it. It was on the radio a lot.
Yeah.
And I never realized that it was Bob Welch. It was just a song I heard on the radio.
Right.
And I heard your version of it, and it's like, oh my God, yes, I know this song. But it was so different from the original.
Right. I mean, it is and it isn't. I mean, melodically, harmonically, rhythmically, lyrically, it's identical to the original.
Yes.
It's all about the delivery that's different.
Exactly. It's everything that I love in a cover song. It's recognizable, but you've really turned it into a medicine song with the way you've done it.
I've had this idea for a few years that song would make the perfect medicine type of song. And, luckily I was right. I don't know. I mean, I get a huge kick out of that. I mean, I'm glad that it seems to be being received well. Because, it's an odd song. The lyrics are, I don't know what the hell it's about. It may be about something bad. I'm not sure. It may be about liking an underage girl. I'm not sure.
Well, Bob Welch, you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those songs that's like profound melodically and totally insipid lyrically, and that was a challenge,
Oh God,
but,
yeah.
And it's, there's also, Fleetwood Mac recorded it before Bob Welch had his hit with it.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's right.
It's on the Bare Trees album, I want to say.
Oh wow, yeah, that's. My brother is an enormous. I love Fleetwood Mac, but my brother is enormous, and I know Jordan is a nut too. They'd know better than I would. But since we are kind of jumping around here, I did have a question for you.
Sure.
When the Mechanical Forces of Love came out, that was you did that album with Shannon Lee.
That's right.
Bruce Lee's daughter.
That's right.
How did that? Is that a distant Crow connection, or how did that happen?
Straight, you would think, right?
Yeah.
Because I was the only member of Medicine to actually meet Brandon Lee on the set of The Crow.
Oh, really?
And we filmed our bit two weeks before he got killed. And so I still, would rather have the Crow have never happened. To, rather him be alive. But, but he was a total sweetheart, and and it was a nice experience meeting him. I mean, but actually, I met Shannon through Ken.
Oh, really?
Ken Andrews. Yeah, he was. He's a sort of producer for hire. Always. Yeah. But he just one day he said, "Hey, would you come and do the session I'm doing with Shannon Lee?" Because he didn't feel like he knew how to work with a female singer, or something, he wanted. Okay. And he knew that I had a history of working with female singers. So, I think that's how he presented it to me. And I showed up, and Shannon and I just got on like a house on fire instantly. I mean, totally just total pals instantly. And we nearly, at that time, this is like 1999. This is way before Mechanical Forces of Love, but we very nearly signed with Interscope.
Oh wow!
It would have been a Shannon solo album produced by Ken and I, but that never it didn't come together for a variety of reasons. But Shannon and I stayed friends, and we just decided to make our own album together, sans Ken, a few years later, and that was just sort of perversely. It was like, hey, what if we called this Medicine?
Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
And a lot of people weren't happy about that, but because it was like completely different kind of music. I maintain that record was fairly ahead of its time, and like people do that kind of thing all the time.
Oh yeah.
But the rockist people couldn't stand that it had all this electronic. That it was mostly electronic. But I mean, I think that wouldn't even be noteworthy for a rock band to do electronic sounding stuff now.
No, exactly.
At the time, it was scandalous.
Yeah, you don't mix genres.
Right? How dare we? So, but I mean, but that was really, just Shannon and I having fun. I mean, she's a classically trained singer. She has a degree in vocal performance.
Really?
And most people don't know that about her. my whole thing was, yeah, okay, it's nice that your dad was Bruce Lee, but I don't really care about that. I think you're a great singer, you know?
Well, yeah.
So that, you know, that was my whole thing. And
Bruce Lee's not going to make music with you.
Yeah. I mean, and then it gets weird when you try to get into like business dealings with somebody who's in that position. And, and she became pregnant with her daughter during that time. And so it just wasn't meant to be pursued further than that album. But I love that record. I'm really glad it happened. And Shannon and I are still friends. And,
oh, that's awesome.
But she's very much all about running the estate now. I mean,
yeah,
and doing good in the name of her dad and making sure people don't do anything cheesy in the name of her dad, which is a daily battle, I assure you.
I can only imagine. That's that's definitely a full-time job.
Yeah. So, I'd like to think that I helped her, make a claim for being an artist in her own right.
For sure.
But I'm always thumbing my nose at expectations. So, I mean, and she liked the idea of calling it medicine as a nod to her brother too, because of that connection.
Wow. I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
But it's not, if that's not how we met. And for what it's worth, she doesn't think that there's a family curse.
Okay.
I mean,
good.
Because she would talk about them a lot. I mean, they're, she knew Brandon far better than she knew her dad, who she was 4 when her dad died.
So. Oh gosh. Yeah.
But, Brandon was, that's a really painful thing for her,
Oh God. Yeah. I can only imagine. That must be horrible.
Yeah. But she's, a beautiful person.
Oh, that's awesome.
And,
well, if we can get a little more attention to that album, that'd be great.
Well, sure. I mean,
all 50 people listening.
What's that?
All 50 people listening, go
yes.
Pick up that one if you don't have it already.
Excellent.
And looking over my notes here, I noticed something I wanted to ask you about Lusk that I didn't get a chance to yet. The album received a Grammy nomination,
right?
But for best packaging,
yeah,
that's a real category.
Apparently so, and we lost.
The Titanic.
Yeah, right. Which must have had fantastic. It had a little cup of water in it, and
pieces of the boat.
Cube. Yeah,
that stupid necklace that she dropped in the.
Right.
So
but no, I mean the packaging on the CD for Lusk was beautiful by Peter Grant, not Led Zeppelin's manager. But, I've known like 3 different people named Peter Grant in my life. But this is the artist Peter Grant who did a smashing job on that.
Oh, it's great. I just never knew that was a category.
Yeah. I don't even, maybe it probably isn't anymore. I mean.
Well, yeah, because everything's downloadable.
Right. Some of the biggest acts don't even make physical product anymore. So best looking MP3. I don't know.
Best JPEG.
Best bit rate encoding.
I've just about run out of things to ask you. I think here.
Right.
I will encourage everybody to go check out, because you appear and this is your own estimation because I couldn't do this, on over 300 recordings.
I doubt it's that much. That is a misnomer that appeared in a medicine press release in the 90s. And I've done like dozens of albums since then. I think at the time, I said that I'd been on 30 records, and somebody in the press department at Deaf American decided to add a 0 to it. And that's been in practically every bio of me ever since.
Well, maybe by now it's 300.
Right. So now it's, maybe closer to 50 or 60, but I never correct anybody anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's so funny. But they've been saying that about me for 30 years. So, I must be on like thousands of albums.
Millions,
billions and billions.
Well, I definitely encourage everybody to check out, because your music just, there's so many different sounds. I mean, 60s psychedelia, tech, electronic music. In fact, do you have any influences vocally? Because,
oh God, yeah.
Because I get a lot of like Buffalo Springfield sounding, birdsy stuff on a lot of your solo stuff.
Absolutely. And, we do a Buffalo Springfield song on the new Medicine Covers album, and we did Expecting to Fly, But yeah,
song.
thanks. I mean, that was really challenging to do, and I'm really proud of what we did with it. It's, we played it pretty straight, actually. But, yeah, I mean, God, I have too many favorite vocalists. I mean, the Beatles. I mean, it's all about, Lennon and McCartney. I mean, I could talk about singers for, like Robert Wyatt is another big favorite of mine.
Well, maybe we should get you back on and we could just talk about some obscure singers that everybody needs to know about.
Sure. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to start. I mean,
Judy Sill.
Yeah, Judy Sill is so key. I mean, if you haven't listened to Judy Sill, I mean, it's a must.
Oh yeah.
Judee.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Exactly. It's a very odd spelling, but once you hear it, you'll never forget it.
I know. Just all you have to do. I mean, really, if it's just Jesus Was a Crossmaker or The Kiss. I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's just stunning stuff.
My personal favorite is definitely The Donor, though.
That's incredible. I mean, it's so. Yeah. I mean, I got audiophile double 45, double LP 45 pressings of her two albums.
Oh wow.
That I can't recommend. I mean, it's like if you want to have like a religious communal experience with a piece of vinyl. I mean, and The Donor, it's all one side.
Oh
at 45 RPM.
Oh yeah, because it's like 8 minutes.
Yeah, so that's incredibly glorious. I mean, it's
the chorus in the beginning is just incredible. It's
with the Kyrie eleison.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I get her whole religious. I tell people who haven't heard her, okay, just she really likes Jesus. I mean, like, really likes it. Like, I don't know how to explain. Like, wants to be married to him.
Like a lot.
A whole lot. Yeah.
And so I would do the same if anybody listening who's not familiar with your music, definitely go and search out all the different things, your solo work, Medicine. Although I would caution against anybody looking at work not to look up Vast Deference Society, because you will get a lot of videos.
Yeah, don't Google Vast Deference Organization. Yeah,
no, because
find out what a Vast Deference is. Maybe you don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you'll eventually find it, but you're gonna find some other stuff before you get to it.
You might not want to know what a steaming coil is.
Fortunately, when I type in steaming coil Brad Lehner, stuff comes up. When I type in Vast Deference, it's like that's a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Well, where can people follow you on social media, and where can they pick up the new album, Scarred for Life?
Bandcamp. Brad Lehner Bandcamp.
Awesome. Are social media accounts that people can?
Yeah. There's just there's a Medicine band in parentheses on Facebook is the official Medicine Facebook thing, and then Bandcamp is ideally that's where, and there's where you can pick up vinyl of the new Medicine album. There's still some copies for sale.
Awesome.
There, I don't know when your podcast is coming out, but we're down to like 10 copies. So,
oh wow.
We're not selling that many of them.
Well, maybe we'll get to the last 10 sold with this.
All right then. It's a really nice pressing, and it comes with a poster. So. Well,
I'm enjoying going back and I've really enjoyed going back and listening to music that I hadn't heard in years. So the old Medicine stuff and finding new stuff like that Rehearsal Space tape. That was just so cool.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed that. Yeah, it's a nice bit of nostalgia for me,
Oh yeah, I bet it brings back a whole slew of memories. I bet.
Yes.
Well, Brett, thank you so much for spending some time with me. I do appreciate.
Thanks for your interest. I appreciate it.